Hi Gina.
Hi Ione, hi everyone, I'm Gina, the Senior Editor of Polyester.
And I'm Ione, the Founding Editor-in-Chief of Polyester, and this is the Polyester Podcast, a feminist pop culture podcast dissecting the discourse on a weekly basis.
Before we start, if you're a fan of this podcast, please make sure to like, rate, subscribe and review. And if you really love us, you can sign up for a podcast membership, where you can join our WhatsApp chat, get access to our research each week, and get on our Instagram close friends for only £3 a month. We also now have a Substack called Non-Threatening Boys, *, where an extra special and secret pod episode will be shared each month for our subscribers. Do we have any reviews, Ione?
We do. 5 stars with loads of purple emojis, like the heart and the girl with her hand up. Not sorry, can't spell or grammar. Sometimes the learning stuff leaves me better. This show was recommended by a friend, Steph with an F. She reminded me that there were great thinkers out there with backed up facts in their conversations and centered views despite the thoughts and conversations challenging the sometimes negative aspects of womanness and the world. I'm binging the podcast, currently on my 5th episode. So far, it's felt like a total validation party, whilst also being a warm hug too. I have more hope for life than I did going in. So grateful for your work. It's Rockstar by Bethany.
That's beautiful.
Very, very cute. Thank you so much. What are we talking about today, Gina?
Today we're talking about underconsumption core, recession pop, and
being poor.
being a big povo. Do you want to kick us off?
If I must. So basically, underconsumption core is a new trend going around on TikTok where it's like people showing how they're under-consuming, and it's kind of being labelled or touted as a rallying cry against over-consumerism, a way to romanticize the cost of living crisis and romanticize living within your means, I guess. There's loads of different examples, so some of it is satire and some of it's not, but one user called Dainty Nugs, she's kind of showing it's consumption core, and then it shows loads of things around your house that are under consumption core, and she's kind of showing off that she only has 2 pairs of shoes, 2 bags, and a library full of books she's been collecting for years. I have loads of shoes, I will say this, but I would say most people don't have that much stuff. They don't, that's what most people deal with.
It also doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. You can have more, you don't have to have 100 pair of shoes, yeah, I understand. But you don't just have to have 1 pair, that's crazy.
Alfie, my husband, literally only has 2 pairs of shoes and 2 bags.
This is the year that I've got Marvin to having more than 2 pairs of shoes.
Why? You're anti-consumption coring him.
I don't know, it's just that he was always wearing outfits and I'd be like, the fit doesn't go as hard. So now he's got 4 pairs and he's happy.
I think you only need 2 if you're a man. A man should only have 2 pairs of shoes. I believe this.
Wow, sexism at play.
And then someone else called Sabrina's Sustainable Life, this one really got to me, showed that she uses rags instead of paper towels. She literally calls them rags.
My mum uses rags.
Yeah, but rags, the word.
I know, it's so funny. It's so that picture of an ant with a bundle on a stick.
Literally, call it a tea towel.
It's just a cut-up t-shirt though, isn't it?
Yeah, but we use that at home as well. We don't have paper towels.
I'm not sitting around going, look at my rags. Rags to riches storyline. When you've made it, you've got some fucking bounty on a roll.
Yeah, you've got a kitchen roll.
I feel Americans are really bad for this stuff though. They always are I only use paper plates.
And it's plastic wrap everything and stuff.
And then over here they're like, wow, you guys do the dishes. Because my friend's wife's American and said she lived here for a while and then moved back and everyone was using paper plates. And she's like, no, that is actually fun.
So Sabrina's Sustainable Life only has 1 Stanley Cup.
What a woman.
Upcycled jars, mismatched glasses. So yeah, loads of the videos are consumption core, and it's they open their glass their glass cupboard in the kitchen or their mug cupboard, and they're all mismatched. I'm like,
every cupboard in the UK.
I've been living my life in this way for ages. Am I povo?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, but also
I feel
most people are like that.
I feel I've never been to a house where everyone has a matching set of mugs.
No, never. I didn't even know you could. I feel mugs are a novelty item.
Yeah, same. Special interest.
My favourite bit was where she's like, I don't have a viral tote bag. Okay. I have never bought a tote bag.
No, that's the thing. You don't buy tote bags. I think I bought a tote bag when I was 14, a Sonic Youth one, and that was it. Another big thing is cutting open products to get every last drop. which I do that at home, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, also, I literally probably keep the tube for like 6 months to a year after, just in case.
In case of what?
Like, there's a bit more to get out of it. Like, not shampoo and conditioner, because that's like bulky and takes up space in the house. But like for a moisturiser or whatever, I'll literally keep it in my makeup bag for like a year. Like, I think I have 5 mascaras in my makeup bag at the moment, just because like 4 have run out. But like, there's a certain like thing I want from each one.
What, like the one from this one?
They're all the same. They're all that one that we all use. But like, you know, sometimes you need an old mascara and a new mascara, because the old one you need like the gunkiness to get the good application, but then the new one you need the actual product.
Yeah, definitely.
Overconsumption core. But I don't buy 2 at a time. I like buy one until it's used up and then go to the next one.
Yeah, I think one of the things with people being like, I just own like one face wash and one moisturiser. It's like, so you got a skincare routine.
Yeah, and people being like, I only have one shampoo and one conditioner. It's like, what?
I think that people see the like haul videos and are like, oh, everyone lives like that. It's like, but I think that's just like an immature understanding of the internet, like to see those videos and be like, I'm different because I don't do that. Like, you're not understanding that that's not content that's realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, also people that are making haul content, it's probably like their job, so they're getting sent it and stuff.
Yeah, they're not paying for it either.
No.
So like trying to make it an economic thing just doesn't make sense.
But it just makes no sense to like go into a supermarket and be like, oh, I'll buy 4 shampoos and see which one I want. Like, just buy one and then use it, unless it's doing something bad to your hair, obviously.
Yeah.
But normally, I just don't know anyone that's done that in my whole life.
My mother does do that.
Tell us more.
But she does have a consumption, don't want to say problem because she'll hear this. She knows it. She likes to buy things.
Yeah, but what? Explain.
She'll like buy something to try it, like it's kind of her hobbies, like makeup and like skincare and stuff, so she's got a lot of that stuff knocking about. But yeah. I think that kind of made me more aware of not consuming stuff in that way as well.
I think makeup's kind of a bit different to shampoo as well. Like, I'd say like shampoo and conditioner is like a utility item, whereas makeup is obviously now like a lifestyle item.
Yeah, that's true.
But I only have like now, I used to have loads of makeup and it would be like bits that I'd been sent, or like bits that I bought, or like whatever, just loads of palettes, like all of that. I literally don't own anything anymore, so I suppose I am under consumption core as well. I have like 4 makeup items.
Yeah. I think it's just part of getting older as well. Like, you learn what you like and just buy it.
No, I used to be like that. And then in the middle, I bought some more stuff and then got back to being how I was before.
You were tricked by consumption content?
No, I just think I wanted to try some eyeshadow.
Yeah, now you've gone back to knowing what you like.
So then there's another user called Old Soul Entry saying that underconsumption on TikTok is just normal consumption in real life, which is like loads of the reaction on Twitter. So Dwight Schrute himself at Zulilba says, underconsumption is the newest trend on TikTok. It's nice to see people wasting less, but it also just comes across as basically the way most of us lower middle class people do to survive. Obviously that doesn't really make sense, but I think you get the point. And then Mina says, I'm losing my mind at something called underconsumption core. It's just people showing how they have one item of each thing or hand-me-downs. They're showing normal average consumption. Just because you don't overconsume doesn't mean you're underconsuming. And then someone else called Chia said, underconsumption core on TikTok is crazy because those are normal purchases / living conditions with like 12 question marks, and they are not under consumption in any way. What have we come to? And then someone called Danielle Vermeer put, Gen Z is rebranding being broke as under consumption core, and then like it's like a screenshot of a comment section being like, this makes me feel so much better, it's so realistic, I hate overconsumption. Same girl, but for me it isn't under consumption, I call it being poor. And then someone being like, finally, I only own 2 pairs of shoes total, I wear 3 things of makeup, I will never understand overconsumption.
It's just turning owning things into like a pick-me competition, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I saw another one last night that I didn't save, but it was basically like the similar layout, like under consumption core, but it was like a brand new flat and everything was like white, and it was basically minimalism. And I'm just thinking, like, I feel like this has got very confused because there's just a way people live that, like, I don't consider the way I buy my shampoo to be like, you know, an active decision I'm making. Like, I try and buy like organic and don't have sulfates in and stuff, but that's just because I know it's good for my hair. But like, I don't be like, oh, buying shampoo is part of my personality, or like the amount of stuff I own that serve a purpose is part of my personality. And I feel like people were confusing that with something like minimalism, which is more of a lifestyle.
Yeah, minimalism is kind of
an aesthetic or whatever.
Yeah, it's a stylistic choice, whereas like underconsumption core, I think, is being marketed as a trend, but it seems that the people doing it are trying, or like who originated it are trying to be like, I'm trying to cut back on what I'm consuming and what I'm like having in my house and like what I need to spend money on, and like trying to tie it to like an ecological aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so people are obviously tying it to like the environment, but also the economy. And there's an article on Vogue Business called TikTok's Anti-Overconsumption Movement is a Wake-Up Call for Brands by Rachel Chinansky. She speaks to like a senior lecturer at the University of Geneva called Katia Diane Vladimirova. She's also the founder of like a sustainable fashion consumption research network. And she says like, what is good for the planet is also good for our mental health and our well-being. If we buy less but we buy more mindfully, we are happier. I think that's like load of shit.
Explain.
Like, obviously it's good for the planet, kind of, but it's just like pushing the blame onto individuals, which is like, whatever. If you are like an extreme case or like someone that has hoarding tendencies and you're like, a house is full of stuff and you're like buying stuff, especially like fast fashion, you know, you like buy a top and you're excited for it to come and then it comes and it doesn't fit and you're in a bad mood. But like, in the grand scheme of things, our like consumption levels are not affecting our mental health in a huge way. Like, I would say what's more like conducive of good mental health is like not being poor. Like, I feel like we're trying to rebrand scarcity as like an enviable lifestyle when it's like actually people can't afford stuff. And like, obviously it's not the people that are like being like, I buy this like organic thing at like a refill station and blah, 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 blah. But then, yeah, as people that grew up in like not middle class households, to then just see like what we thought was normal like hawked back to us as something that's like revolutionary or life-changing. And I feel like this is a gripe I have with like sustainability influencing in general, because it like assumes everyone has a problem, like whereas some people just live their lives. Like, I know it's like the argument for Shein and stuff is that it's not the poor people using Shein that are the problem, it's like the middle class people that haul it. But then I saw a like sustainability influencer once being like, I buy a perfume every 6 months, so I realise that's a problem. Who the fuck are you if you're buying a perfume every 6 months? I can count the number of times I've bought like a luxury item on my hand. Like, what? Like, we're just not all living on the same planet. Like, and if your concerns are like, yeah, maybe there's a group of like upper middle class to middle class people that behave this way that are having issues, but it's not like, I feel like it's not as widespread as people make it out to be. Like, there's no way anyone in my family is going and buying a perfume a month.
No, it's fucking crazy to even suggest that that's normal.
Like, even like a luxury makeup item, like anything beyond what, like, my family, for example, buy like lots of shit and like stuff to make them feel better, like little bits, little bobs, whatever, like a nice coffee, etc, etc, etc. I'm not saying those things are all like climate neutral, but they're also not like over consuming to the point where your house is filled with stuff that you'll never ever use.
Exactly. And I also think like something that was getting my goat a little bit reading through like the underconsumption core and being like, I don't know why we keep saying the shampoo, but I've got the one shampoo, is that a lot of the time, I think people who are working class bulk buy stuff. Like, you'll see it at a certain price and you'll buy loads of it because you're like, oh, I'm never going to see it at that price again. I'm going to get loads of it and then I've got it in stock and then, like, I don't have to worry about that for 6 months and, like, etc, etc. And I feel like by spreading that, like, the best way to be ecological is to just buy one thing at a time, it's, like, a warped misunderstanding of the economy and, like, how people make economic decisions.
Yeah, it's, like, not... Like, for some people, I always think about this in terms of, like, living in London as well and, like, living in a major city and how we, like, city plan, in that, like, if big supermarkets are inaccessible to people as well, like, I'd say most people our age don't do a big shop. Sorry, maybe this is so boring. But, like, don't do a big shop because we're only near, like, local super, like, as in, like, Tesco local, Sainsbury's local, whatever. And that's really uneconomical, but just because of our lifestyles, that's what we do.
Even cupboard space.
Yeah, and cupboard space.
When I moved to my new flat, I was like, oh, I can't get a fucking massive 48-roll bog roll order again, because where the hell is it going to go in my small flat? Do you know what I mean?
Gina's favourite thing to do, I will add.
Do like a bulk buy. That's my big gripe here. This is coming from my only gamble who bought how many Chipotle bottles
I bought 4 the other day because they were £1.50.
You bought 6?
No, I bought 4. And because they were £1.50 in Lidl. And you're not going to find it cheaper than that. So you buy 4, lasts you like 6 to 9 months. And then by the time it rolls around, it's back as a special buy in Lidl. And you do it again. And you don't
feel bad about... Sorry, I overspoke, couldn't you? Again.
Go on.
Sorry. And you also see it as like, oh, I've spent this £8 now, and then when I spend the £8 again next time, I won't feel as bad because I know that it's going to last spread out over this like amount of time. Whereas like if you're buying like a £4 something every month, that's like a different economical decision.
Yeah, and it was Cholula, not Chipotle. But anyway.
Sorry, I love the Chipotle. Cholula.
Let's go to a break.
Hello, we're back. I hope you liked the advert. Hope it was a good one this time and not for that army.
We don't pick the adverts. So, slight pivot, I suppose, but I also just think this is, and what we've been saying for the past few weeks, it's like another symptom of like the need for categorization all the time. Like, people, because of TikTok in particular, are like micro managing their lives so much that everything has to be like quantifiable in some way. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to label something as having a meaning, because otherwise it's not good content, I guess, is the answer to that. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna make like cutting the top off my moisturizer a thing because it feels significant to me for some reason.
I also think romanticizing your life is kind of like accepting it for what it is, which is like a powerful tool for certain things. But I think with the economy, like, we should be holding the higher ups to account. So like accepting being like, I'm doing this because it'll help the environment and this is my individual action, it makes me feel better. That, yeah, sure, but like, what are you also actually doing that's going to make a change that you don't have to do that, or make a change that the wider situation changes, where it doesn't have to be such a granular like issue.
Yeah, I genuinely think about this all the time as well, because I feel like people that talk about this a lot, and it's fair enough, and there obviously are changes that everyone can make. I'm not like anti-sustainability, because that's crazy, but like, when I think about my own life, for example, like, I don't have children, I don't own a car, I live in a 1-bedroom flat, like, cook most of my meals at home, but also, what does it fucking matter? Get Ubers quite a lot because I am disabled. Fly maybe like twice a year. Like, compared to that, it's like a very like humble existence compared to what like people that are big emitters are doing. Like, we're not like driving all the time, we're not traveling for work all the time, we're not like hyper consuming plastics all the time. Like, even if we are, it's like we're only doing it to the extent that we can do it because of like the supermarkets selling us our food, the packages we get sent in the post, like all of these things, like, and all of these things are things that can be changed, not like flying in cars, well, cars a bit because of electric cars, but like on a governmental basis, not on an individual basis. Like, ban plastic.
Literally ban plastic. Get that coconut plastic in.
Yeah.
You think you just fell out of the coconut tree?
You exist in the context of everything that came before you. Which brings us to recession pop, which is actually the theory of recession pop, isn't it, really? That like pop exists in the context of everything that is happening. Yeah,
do you want to give us an explainer of what recession pop is? Sorry, I've put you on explaining duty today.
Yeah, I don't really love this role. So recession pop is making a comeback by Olivia J. Bennett for Days Digital, and I feel like we had this last week on our podcast comment section a bit as well, because of people being like, what was the recession thing? Oh, everyone was being like, oh, skinny Lana, we are so back, recession is so back.
Oh yeah, bodies reflecting.
Shrinking, yeah.
The economy.
So this piece opens by saying, it's July 2007. Timbaland drops The Way I Are, featuring Kerry Hilson and DOE Grammar. Ticks aside, the track tops charts worldwide with its catchy confession of connection under financial stress. If I have no money, no car, no card to buy you flowers, will you still like me just the way I are? That sounded so stupid, me saying it.
The way I are.
An eerie foreshadowing of the Great Recession that was set to kick off later that year. And then it's kind of just going through like recession pop through time. So it also name checks Time of Our Lives by Neo and Pitbull, I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas, loads of stuff. And it's saying now, in June this year, I stumbled upon a TikTok by creator Goose Fraud set to Charlie XCX's Club Classics. The caption read, you can tell we're spiraling into another recession because of how good pop music is getting again. The video quickly amassed over 100k likes and 400k plays in a matter of days, sparking a viral debate. Creators like @Wonderly joined in, holding an affection notice to the tune of Carly Rae Jepsen and Owl City's Good Time, and writing, "When you've been craving another 2008 to 2012 recession pop song to distract yourself from the current economic state of the world right now." Another TikTok video, which has amassed over 1.7 million views, reads, "Accounts and economists quitting their jobs when they realise Charlie XCX and Kesha are making summer bangers because a recession era is upon them." Which is kind of interesting, but it's also interesting in a way that, like, not to be rude about Brat again.
Tell him.
But I feel like the whole thing of Brat, like the whole marketing campaign has been like, jet set, lifestyle, she's just on the IB for Boiler Room set, she's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's not sleeping, she's wearing jackamoose on a yacht, like...
She's got a wall.
Yeah, it's not really conducive of, like, downward economics, is it?
No, it's like her further in the class divide.
Anna. And I think like how the songs make us feel is a different thing, but I wouldn't say it's interesting because some of these articles further down, so the Towards the Theory of Recession Pop by Akhil Vyada for Hot Knife magazine is kind of talking about like how pop is more easily shaped by the economy than any other genre, because it is such a tool of the economy, like it is such a capitalist machine, like churning stuff out, blah 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 blah, that has to react to like the mood of the moment in order to be relevant, which I think is why, like, not to get too deep, like loads of these articles quote Katy Perry, but I feel like Katy Perry's not a good example of recession pop, because I know she was trying to be satirical or whatever, but obviously it didn't hit. And when you get the actual lyrics, like sexy, confident, so intelligent, she's heaven sent, and then it's like about how women can do all of these things in a time where women feel like disempowered. I feel like that's kind of what the opposite of recession pop is saying. Like, these articles kind of say recession pop is like one part hedonism, one part escapism, one part realism. So you need the like realism to offset the other part of it, so it doesn't seem like tone deaf or whatever, which obviously Charlie achieves, like whether you like it or not, in her vulnerable songs. And I don't think Katy Perry does that in the song.
No, not at all. I think she's kind of reissued what she was doing in the time period after, like, her first songs were like recession bangers. And like recession bangers are ones that like celebrate like you said, like hedonism, like going out, like having fun, like it's kind of like apocalyptic, like everything's fucked, like I'm gonna go have a party.
Yeah, so this same article, Towards a Theory of Pop Recession, says, "I want to distinguish recession pop from escapist pleasure, however, as recession pop is much more about being present and aware of pop music's context. This is to say that recession pop is often pleasurable, even if, or maybe especially when, the music itself isn't particularly groundbreaking or good. My interest in recession pop centres around finding meaning in dissonance and exploring the politics of letting yourself fall into it face first, as I repeatedly do myself. It's a theory of pop music, hearing the cultural disconnect and acknowledging the pleasure that can come away from engaging in it." Again, I don't think there's anything bad with recession pop, obviously, and it's like we're getting more good pop. It is good, but I feel like this is kind of another thing where it's like, we can't do anything about it, so let's just party through it.
Yeah, like, sure.
I mean, no, that's not true. Like, we should be expecting better conditions for us to live within, rather than just accepting it and like seeking out hedonism as a distraction.
Yeah. And it's also like weird that this comes around at a time where like so many clubs and like have closed, especially like queer spaces have closed, and like the government's enforcing like stricter licensing rules and stuff like that.
Yeah, like everyone complaining that you can't even like get a drink after like 10 p.m. in central London. I know this is like very London centric, but you know what I mean? Like nightlife is in some sort of like epidemic and has never really recovered post-COVID. And I was speaking to someone the other day who was saying that like they do market research or whatever, and young people just saying they don't care about going out. And I think loads of the Brat stuff around that was like that. It was like, I haven't been to the club in 4 years, but like this is making me want to go out and dance. But they don't.
No. But is it because they've never been able to? Like
no.
That generation missed the like crucial years of being a little fuckhead.
Well, no, exactly. But as in like these people are over it now. Like we skipped a generation of going out.
Yeah.
And it's not coming back.
Again, I think it's really like horrible for our culture, because it just means like if something skips a generation, then it's so easy for it to just be gone forever.
That's so dramatic. I don't believe that. People are
It does though, because like, where's the demand for the clubs going to come from? So the clubs are going to close.
But similarly, younger people are like romanticizing all of this stuff. Like, I saw a TikTok last night that was like, why does place in Greece feel like I'm in a Skins episode? And it was literally just like a Brits Abroad town.
Was it?
Yeah. Like, I feel like people are seeking these experiences, but there's nowhere for them to go because the economy is bad. And that's not to say that like there aren't good places in nightlife, because obviously there are, especially like in grassroots places, in underground places, and like politically engaged club nights. All of these things exist around London, but it's not as if they're like thriving.
No.
Like, I don't think it's necessarily meant to be, but I don't think that recession, obviously it's not meant to be optimistic, but I just feel like there's one of the articles here, I think it's the Vogue Business one. Yeah, it is. It says, we are entering what some online commentators call a silent depression, an age marked by an inability to call things as they are, despite truly dire financial circumstances. So it makes sense that we're seeing this reflected in our music. Periods of recession have typically always been defined by music with faster frenetic melodies and a hooky lyricism, colouring economic hardship with relentless optimism. It talks about the Great Depression of the 1920s, which saw blues and swing be popularised, UK's winter of discontent across the 70s and 80s, which ushered in punk and disco. So obviously there's the argument that, like, you know, Dire Straits make for interesting art and work, but then I think the silent depression bit is just like wrong, because oh my god, there's 10 theories on TikTok talking about it.
Yeah, it's endless how many people are talking about it, and it's even like exemplified by what we were speaking about at the beginning of the episode. And then if it's been called to death.
Yeah, and then I think if we're talking about like the people that get to speak to this as well, it's like all of those TikToks that we said at the beginning were from inarguably like middle to upper middle class people. Like, all their furniture was designer, all of this, like, yeah, they were like, oh, it's passed down from generations. Well, that's just such a like upper middle
congratulations.
That's such an upper middle class thing to do, because like, obviously huge generalization, but like, you're not getting like an IKEA sofa to last beyond like 10 years.
No, literally. And I think it is just like a classist endeavour to not care about this stuff, but to like show off about it. Underconsumption Core is all over my FYP and What Does It Mean by Lily Brown for her campus. And it says, Underconsumption Core isn't about frugility. How do you say it? Frugality?
Frugality, yeah.
Frugality. Underconsumption Core isn't just about frugality or budgeting. It's a powerful statement against the relentless consumerism pushed by capitalist culture. Like, how many buzzwords, like, are you going to fit into something that's just, like, people's lifestyles otherwise? Like, just because you're electing to do this, like, it just adds this, like, grandeur to it. When rich people do budgeting, then it's relentless, a powerful statement against the relentless consumerism. But when poor people do it, it's just frugality. It's just budgeting.
I have this theory that I'm working up in my head that's not quite ready. But I feel like we're just reaching, like, it's strange because obviously under a lens compared to any other era, everyone's so acutely aware of like marketing and like marketing themselves and like marketing buzzwords and all of these things, and I think we're just gonna like explode soon.
Yeah,
no one's ever going to talk about themselves ever again.
Yeah, I hope so. Please
talk about yourself less. Say the two podcast hosts. Okay, and with that and with that, thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Ione.
Thank you to Siham for the research and the sound tech. And thank you to Olivia for editing. And thank you to you, dear listeners, for listening.
Please, can you leave us a lovely review because we're running low?
Aww. We love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.